If you're still drinking tap water in 2024, there's a pretty good chance you're poisoning yourself. I mean, there's more and more stuff coming out about how there's so much bad stuff in tap water and bottled water. I mean, they're talking about PFAs, atrazine, glyphosate, all these pesticides, herbicides, all this stuff washes into the water systems. And then you got pharmaceuticals, stuff like birth control, illegal substances. Like there's all kinds of stuff that's in tap water. So I got away from drinking tap water quite a long time ago. But like most people, I had a hard time figuring out like how I'm going to store water, where I'm going to get it, and how I'm going to store it. So I resorted to originally storing it in plastic bottles, which is a horrible idea. And you know, this particular brand I used to think was good. Come to find out, Deer Park has the highest levels of PFAs, forever chemicals, out of pretty much any other bottled water. And they said it's because of the actual bottle. So me getting clean, unfiltered water from a well, which is what I do now, but putting in those plastic bottles kind of defeats the purpose. It doesn't do any good for your health. You're still consuming these forever chemicals, and that's what I was doing. It can be tough to figure out how you're going to store your water. The only other option is glass jars, which aren't really convenient. You drop them, you break them, they clang around, they're kind of heavy and bulky, and they just don't transport as well. Plus, they're kind of expensive. Unless you can find a place that recycles them, you can just get them in bulk. If you've watched any of my other videos, you'll notice I film in front of a bar. And I used to drink. I mean, I never had a problem with drinking. I just used to drink socially. And I like hosting events and stuff at my house. But I haven't actually had a drop of alcohol in 8 years. But because I have a bar and I had a keg under that bar, I got an idea. And I'm like, you know what? Instead of trying to fill up all these little bottles and tote these bottles around, why don't I figure out a way to use this keg because it's stainless steel. It holds 7.5 gallons. Why don't I use the keg to store my water? So I figured out how to do that. It's actually a lot easier than you would think. And you know, you can get these kegs online. I just did some quick browsing around. I was looking on places like Facebook Marketplace, Craigslist, things like that. And there's quite a few places that you can actually buy empty kegs for relatively cheap, under 50 bucks. And I'm talking full-size kegs. This is a pony keg, like I said, 7.5 gallons. And this will last me about a week to a week and a half, depending on how much water I'm drinking. But this can be a really good way to kind of recycle and reuse things that you either already have or things that you can find on the market pretty cheap. And it's a lot easier than you would think. So I'm going to show you how to do that, how I store my water right now. Now keep in mind, the first thing you want to do before you do anything, all right, this is very important, is you want to tap the keg. So you put the tap in there and you release the pressure. If you do not do this and you go to pull the valve out and it's under pressure, it could shoot up and hit you in the face or hurt you. So again, tap it and relieve the pressure first before you do anything. All right, so you just come in here, put the tap on, lock it down, and then relieve the pressure. And as soon as you hear no air coming out, you should be good to go. Hit it a couple times just to make sure. Good to go, then you pull the tap back off. And you're ready to go. All right, so to make this happen, you really only need 3 tools. You need a small flat tip screwdriver. All right, so you need that. You need a little bit larger flat tip screwdriver. And you need a set of needle nose pliers. Those are the only 3 things you need. All right, now that you've relieved the pressure, you're gonna come down here and you're gonna see that there's a notch cut out, okay? And this piece right here, this is a ring. And this ring actually comes out, and that's how you pull your valve out. So if you wanna make sure the pressure is completely released off this, you can just press this ball down. You hear a little air come out of there. Just press it a couple times, make sure it's fully released, and then you can take this ring out. So to do that, take your small flat tip, and you're going to stick it in that small little slot right there and work this ring out. And if you do it just right, you can get it where it starts coming out. You can see it kind of moving out there. And then take there's another small little notch under here. You can kind of pry it under and then pry this ring the rest of the way out. Okay, so once you get it started, you want to just kind of get behind it and work it around until you get the end of it to pop out. So you see how it popped out right there? Now there'll be a notch at the end of this, and you put your little flat tip, you can use your big one or your small one, get behind that notch, until you can get this lifted up and out. And you can kind of use both screwdrivers to do that. You can see how it pops up. And then once it's up, it comes out pretty easy. So again, if you want to test to make sure the pressure's off, hit it again. And then go ahead and pull this ring out. Just kind of work it on around, and it will come out almost like a spring. All right. See how it's coming up and then out. So that's your retaining ring for your valve. So take that, set that off to the side. And then your valve comes out. You have to turn it counterclockwise and then lift this valve out. So just twist it, and if it won't move, you can use your pliers to kind of knock it. Just like that. See how it twists? Alright, and then you just lift this straight out. Now if you've had beer in this keg, the first thing you want to do is clean it out. So I would just take it to a water hose, put some dish soap in there, whatever you use to clean stuff, vinegar, and you could just basically hose it out. You want to rinse it thoroughly, make sure you get all the gunk out of the bottom. You can kind of shine a flashlight down in there to look and make sure it's completely clean. And then once it's cleaned out, you're basically ready to use it. So you can fill it up with water. And where you source your water from is up to you. I get mine from a local well. It's like an underground aquifer. It's very clean. It's been tested. All the minerals are intact. It's unfiltered water straight from the earth, just like we're meant to consume. All right, so to reinstall, basically the reverse. So you put your valve back in. Line up this little piece right here, this little nipple with the slot, and then twist it, lock it in position, and then you're going to reinstall your ring. Okay, so your ring, you're just basically going to spread it apart. Start the end in the slot right here, and you're just going to feed it around. So you start it in there, and then like I said, feed it almost the way it came out. And it should just kind of feed itself into the slot. And then as you're feeding it in, so once you get it about halfway, about right there, take your needle nose pliers and just start kind of pushing it up in the slot, and that'll help it go in a whole lot easier, keep it from springing back out on you. And then take your pliers, get it the rest of the way. This last little bit can be kind of a challenge. Once you get it up in the slot, just push it in with your pliers and you're good to go. Now you're locked in. This is what it should look like when it's all in. Make sure that it's seated all the way around, that your ring's pressed up in there. That way your valve stays seated. You don't have to worry about it leaking. So the last thing you have to do is tap it. Just as simple as put the tap on, twisting it around, locking it down, and now you're ready to pump water. So I use some reused glass containers, just like you would pump out beer. Pump it up, and you're ready to fill it up. Fresh, clean water straight from the earth, just like nature intended. Cheers. So if you decide to do this, you will need to consider the weight. So what I just filled up was 7.5 gallons. That's a quarter keg, or also known as a pony keg. And they weigh about 20 pounds empty, but when it's full, it's about 90 pounds. So just kind of keep that in mind. I find that the quarter kegs are a lot more manageable. I can move them around a lot easier. For some people, it may take 2 people to lift that. Now, if you go with the full-size keg, or it's actually called like a half barrel, it's 166 pounds full, but it holds 15.5 gallons. But unless you have a dolly or something like that, that'll make it a lot less mobile and a little more difficult to move. So just something to consider there. And to store it, I mean, since it's only about 7.5 gallons, I go through it in about a week, week and a half. I don't have to worry about it getting stale or growing stuff or anything like that. And again, it's fresh water. So I just store mine down in the basement. I've got a little cooler down there. I stick it in, keep it cold. When I'm ready to use it, the tap's on there. I go down there, pump it up, and I pump out fresh tap water, just like I would beer, but it's a whole lot healthier. Repurposing these old kegs can be an awesome solution for storing clean water. And again, you can find these things all over online. They actually sell brand new kegs for about 120 bucks, and you can get taps for about $30 or $40. So you can have an entire setup to store clean water in a toxin-free container for about $150, $160. And these containers, these kegs, will last you a lifetime. They're stainless steel. They never wear out. At the very most, you might have to replace the seals after, 5 or 10 years. But that's like pennies on the dollar. So, I mean, this can be a really awesome solution for storing clean water without having to use glass and plastic and things like that. If you're looking for a place to source your water, I highly recommend findaspring.org. I'll put a link in the description, and I also have a link on my website. You can find it there. But this is a giant directory. It's got springs all over the world, natural springs. Like I said, it's water straight from the earth, just the way nature intended. And you can take your bottles there, you can take your jugs, your kegs, whatever you want, and fill them up. It's natural spring water, as void of chemicals and contaminants and things like that as you can possibly get. And you're going to get the benefit of all the minerals and things like that are in the water as well, and avoid all the toxins that come along with tap water and bottled water. So this is like the best solution. So again, I'll put a link to that in the description. It's findaspring.org. Another company I would recommend is Alive Water. Now, I've actually partnered up with them, and what they do is they source the water from these local springs and they deliver it to you in toxin-free glass containers. So if you don't have the means to go out and get a keg and fill your own water and visit these springs and things like that, they offer a simple solution to that. I'll drop a link to them in the description as well, and you can also find them on apexpackandtribe.com. Drop me a comment down below and let me know what you think about this. What do you think about the idea of not filling these kegs up with beer and instead filling them up with clean water? Is that a sin, or is this a good idea? And if you got some value out of this, drop me a like, subscribe, join the Apex Tribe, and I'll see you in the next one.